Hey guys, welcome to the Stencyl tutorial. In this first tutorial, I just want to introduce the basic layout of Stencyl and talk about a few of the things that you're going to have to get yourself familiar with. So let's begin. When you first open up Stencyl, you're going to have an interface of something like this. And we'll talk about each of these little pieces as we learn more. And the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create our game. So there are two ways to do that. So there's this button right here, this little dotted line. So we can click there to create a game, or we can click on this green button. I'm going to click here, and I'm just going to create a blank game from scratch. And I'll just name this tutorial 1, for lack of a better name. And we'll keep the screen size as it is. This will be very important a little bit later on, and I'll show you guys how we can modify and change this in a moment. Okay, so this is now created your blank game. So very soon we'll be adding actors, we'll be adding our own backgrounds, and we'll be adding our own scenes. So let's talk maybe about adding a background first. So if you click on settings, I don't know why they use the light switch for their icon, but that's our settings. And if we go over here to display, this is where we can also change the screen size. Now, I recommend we keep this exactly as it is, 640 by 480. Don't touch that, but we'll need to keep this number in mind. So I'm going to look for a nice background. And suppose I want to create a game for, let's see here, let's say I want to do a forest theme game. So I'm going to look for some forests. And now you'll notice that there are, when you mouse over the Google Images, you're going to see a lot of different images. Now I'm just going to change the settings here. And I'd like to use label for reuse. So I don't get sued for using these photos. Now, let's maybe grab this one. Seems like quite a nice one, or this one over here. Let's grab this one. Okay, so you can save this photo, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to save this photo. Okay, I'm just going to rename it to Forest. Right. So last time we learned about using Pixlr, right? So if you don't know how to use Pixlr, I recommend you watch my other tutorial on getting familiar with Pixlr. I'm going to open the image from my computer, and I'm going to select the forest scene that I just downloaded. And we're going to change the image size. Okay. And the width and height, we're going to unconstrain these proportions. And we want the width and the height to match with these numbers. So I'm going to input these numbers manually, 640 and 480. So I'm going to go back to Pixlr. Width is 640, and the height is 480. I'm going to hit OK. So this is at 33% magnification. I could change to 100. So this is actually going to be our background for our game. Okay, and this will fit exactly into our background. So I'm going to save this. We can make it a PNG. We can keep it as a JPEG. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to say OK. And I'm going to save that. Great. So now I'm going to go back into Stencyl. And once I've got that background prepared, it says this game has no backgrounds. So I can either click here or again. So Stencyl usually has this thing where it's got this dotted line, and you can create something out of that, or you can click on this green button. So I'm going to name my background Forest. Great. And I'm going to add a new frame. Now we can actually create animated backgrounds, but just for simplicity, we'll just keep it as a fixed background for now. So I'm going to go to my desktop, and you can see that there's two different sizes here. 2200 by 1467. That was the original image, and I want to use the smaller one, 640 times 480. I'm going to open that. Okay. Now, under scaling, the default setting will be 4 times. And this is really important because a lot of students will miss this, is they won't bother changing this. And what Stencyl does is that it shrinks the image by 4 times its original size. There is a good reason for that, but let's not get into that right now. But just remember that we need to change this to 1 times magnification. And we're going to now add this to our background. Okay, so now we have a background. It's got some forest. Okay, I'm going to go to my dashboard and I'm going to create a scene. And so I'm going to create a new scene. And now I'm just going to call this level 1 first. Okay, so suppose we start in the very beginning. This is the forest scene. Okay, now once I've got a scene created, now adding the background is a little bit tricky. We actually need to do it over in the backgrounds where it says attach to scene. Okay, we don't do that in our scene here. So we can toggle back and forth between our scene and our background using these tabs here. Okay, so I'm going to click on that green button, attach the scene, attach it to level 1, click OK. Okay, so now I have a scene. So in the next tutorial, we'll look at adding actors, and we'll also look at adding tiles, and maybe getting something moving around in this 2D platformer game that we're going to create. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.